as a full-time passion. So he's here to discuss about how he chosen music as his passion, and very few people choose this as a career option. So Kaushik took that guts to take this passion forward, and he also runs an institute. And we'll also talk about how the institute is, preaching and training people and fulfilling their passion with respect to music, dance, and art. So thanks a lot, Kaushik, for joining in and being part of this particular show. Uh, how did this start? Music as a career is a very, a lot of people think that this is more like a hobby. It cannot be a passion. So you've broken that stereotype feeling. So how did this happen? And maybe we want to know more about Kaushik, as his journey, and then how he started this.
Well, the short answer of this question is that, as you learn music, it has a lot of pull on you. So it pulled me in.
Okay.
That's the short answer.
So what were you doing before? I mean, before
Right.
getting into full-time thing?
Sure, sure. Let me take a few moments now to introduce myself and, hey, hello, viewers, whoever is watching, it's great that you have taken time to listen to me and mine and Ravi's conversation. And thanks to WurkTV for, all these efforts and initiative. Pretty interesting and nice initiative. The youth of the country needs this kind of initiative to tell what they have in their mind in terms of the development, and this is how the country is going to grow. So this is a really, really nice initiative.
Thank you.
Giving a platform to people, good thinking. I really, really applaud your thinking. First off, let me talk a little bit about myself now. My name is Kaushik Lahoti. I am a founder and CEO of this music company called KaushikDhwanee. I am an artist and I'm a student of music, pursuing classical music, the vocal and tabla from last 15 years. I'm basically from a small town in Maharashtra called Mahad. That's where I was raised, and until 10th grade I studied in my hometown. And then at a fairly young age, I moved out of my hometown and went to Pune for college and for the engineering. And after I finished my computer engineering from VIT, I basically, in those days, about 15, 20 years ago, the trend was, you would normally, study and, would want to study abroad or, go to US or something. And, that was the trend. And I guess it's still the trend, I guess, even now, US obviously has a lot to offer. I went for my master's degree in computer science. And then I basically, after the master's, I worked in the Bay Area in California for 10 years before I moved back 10 years ago. So that's been my journey, and I've been living in Hyderabad since last 10 years. And since last about 9 years, I have been full-time into my new profession. So obviously I was into software all the years, and I also studied computer engineering and masters and all that. So, for anyone, including my parents, when they heard for the first time, obviously it was a shock of their life, right? Saying, hey, what are you talking about, right? But this journey started when I was pretty young. And, actually I did not get to learn music per se because, my town did not have this classical music facility at all. Although it's a very cultural town and, we had, all these cultural things going on as I grew up. So, I was pretty good dancer. I would take part in the dramas in the school and all that. And, all that continued throughout my college life. And, I was basically an artistic person. And I've written an answer on the Quora also about that, how I turned into becoming a musician. So I was basically very artistically inclined, and I continued doing these trials as I grew up and throughout my college years. And I got good awards in the dancing, in dandiyas, and I got best actor awards in my schools and colleges and all that.
Wow.
I wrote poems, so, basically the point is I was pretty artistic. And after I went to US, I basically joined this dance group. And it was like all Indian friends, and we were like hanging out and having fun, dancing wherever we were getting invited, and it was great. 3 4 years or so I did that, and then I realized I probably cannot take dancing as my full-time profession, or I cannot become very serious about it. And in 2005 I basically watched this reality show Saregamapa,
Mm-hmm.
the one on the ZTV, right? And it was very popular that time, and it really influenced me, and it kind of moved me to take up singing and trying out singing. And I had a pretty decent voice, and an inclination and a natural ability to be a singer is what I thought. I was able to sing any of these other songs, usually nicely and all that. So I started going to the karaoke in the Bay Area
Mm-hmm.
every Fridays, and I did that for a couple of months. So that means I 7 8 times I sang different songs. And in this time I realized, okay, you know what, there is a lot more to the music and singing than it meets the eye. There are some things I'm not able to do. So looks like, I mean, and I'm the kind of person, you would probably go to the source. Hey, if I'm looking to learn something, I would try and do it as much professionally as I can. So in my career, if I wanted to be a good project manager, I would do PMP.
Right.
Similarly, I was like, okay, now looks like I need to, learn this formally. And in throughout my life, I didn't have the opportunity to learn, and neither did I have much of an inclination either. I mean, there was nothing which would probably propel me into learning vocal music. Although I was living in Pune for a lot of my college years, right? And Pune is a very cultural place where there is a good classical music scene, but it didn't still happen, or it didn't really kind of transpire there while living in Pune that I started learning music. And probably one of the reasons being that it was not looked upon as being very cool thing, and probably to some extent it is still not looked upon, but it is changing a lot. I mean, there is no complaints. Youth is taking the music seriously. They're doing really well. Current youth and young kids, they're smart
Yeah.
kids. They are bestowed with talent, and I mean, we are very lucky to get those kind of students. And I'm going to talk about the institute and all that in a few minutes. But we have a very bright future in the music scene, in the Indian classical music scene. It was all the more apparent to me when in the last 6 months when I was watching all these shows, right?
Mm.
Everything was happening online, and I was like, oh, we have that many vocalists. So it was a very heartwarming thing to see, so many Carnatic musicians, smart young girls, guys, young people, in their teens and 20s, and trying their art
Right.
intensely, passionately, and there are quite a few of them, which just basically, thanks to our ancestors, a lot of the musicians of last 100 years, both in the Hindustani classical music scene and the Carnatic classical music scene, the tremendous amount of work that these ancestors of ours have done has led us to this day, where 30 40 years ago, there was a talk of saving music and all that. It's no more the case. There is a bright future,
Great.
like how Ustad Zakir Hussain has put it in one of his interviews. उज्जवल भविष्य है इसका म्यूजिक का, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, we never have to crib anymore. So that's great, right? So I mean, people like me now have to do more work and take it to the level which is probably not imaginable. We have a lot of the help and support and foundation done in the last a few hundred years, couple of hundred years. The music is evolved, it is so rich in its repertoire and thought. It's difficult for me to explain, but but the
Yeah, I
point
agree
is
with
that
you.
our ancestors have put thought there in everything that they composed, the way they approached music, and different gharanas means different ways of thinking and taking the music. It is very limitless, and people have done great work, and we and I intend to continue to do that kind of work furthermore. So basically that's about me, and coming back to a little bit about me again. I while I was working in the Bay Area into software, I was not enjoying it as much, and then I had started learning music,
Mm-hmm.
and 4 or 5 years of learning music in the US, and I was like, okay, there is a lot of pull, it. I developed a lot of interest in it, and I was like, okay, I need to kind of go to the mecca of music, to learn more seriously, which was obviously India, right? That is the place.
Right.
And it had been a good few years since I was living in the US, and I was not planning on settling down in the US and all that in my life. I mean, everyone has their own plans. So I was looking to come back anyways. So this music being one of the very important reasons, I moved back to India. I found really great gurus here in Hyderabad, and started working, and spent again a year and a half in the last company that I worked at. and realized I need to, if I'm doing it, but in any entrepreneur's journey, there comes a time, right? We think, okay, I'll pursue this time, art at this time, and whatever people think, and they have plans and all that. But there is a time that comes in your life. It tells you this is the time. It's not 5 years you save and then you start. No, no, no. 5 years later, you'll just only save money. Then you'll not be able to do this. And there is that, I don't know, a very mysterious something which is calling you to do what you want to do in your
Yeah.
life. So that was a call basically. And I was quick to realize it, and I was quick to take it. And a lot of people admire me, in my circle for taking this step and all. But I really don't think that it is a big deal, really. I'm doing it for myself. I'm not doing it to save music or anything like that. I'm doing what I love doing. And, I would like to take this platform and this opportunity to tell the people to do what they love doing, because this is what the life is about.
I
So
totally
it
agree.
can be anything. It can be, you might be liking, being a consultant in software, and if you love it, then that is for you. If you are the kind, who gets motivated by, projects and deadlines and things like that, then, that's for you. You do that. If you are looking to be an entrepreneur, India is a great, absolutely fantastic place. I'm 30, 40, 50 years down the line, we will be a very developed country, right? So, this is definitely a great time to be young in India. To be 25 or 30 or 35 in India right now, there was never as good a time, I would say, basically.
True. I completely agree with you. And,
So,
yeah, I'm one of those recent, movement candidates where, for passion, I've quit corporate life. So I can completely relate to what you're saying. I think we both are on the same boat.
right, right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm really glad you're listening so intently.
So let's talk about Kaushik Dhwanee. Why did you
Right,
name
right.
it that way? And I love the logo you have. It's like Ka, right? Ka with a lot of dots. So what was the intention behind that, and
Right, right,
what do
right.
you guys do?
Sure, sure. So, I mean, see, education is very dear to my heart. And I believe that the root cause of many problems is education, lies in education. So the symbol of K in the Kaushik Dhwani logo, and the lines on top, we have that Saraswati mantra we grew up, drawing,
Hmm.
in Maharashtra we have that culture, and I'm sure, all across the country they must be drawing that kind of a Saraswati yantra. And the top of the yantra has those seven uh, matras, sort of a thing, the opposite of matras, and that is what it is taken from. And K is obviously my name, so on top of the K, that Saraswati, part of the Saraswati yantra is taken. It means the seven facets of education. Saraswati represents education, and I want to convey to the world from that logo that Kaushik Dhwani is about music education first, and then it is about education in general, and we want to explore all those in time. So that's the logo basically. Yeah.
Super. So, so this institute of yours, what all? I mean, you mentioned music, dance, and art.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what all you cover? What all you teach?
Well, primarily we are now the post-pandemic time. We are now focusing primarily on the music courses aspect. And again, the answer, this comment goes to the journey of an entrepreneur. I started this company, this music school, in 2012. After moving back from US, I was on in the US. I was on a visa, and in the
Hmm.
entrepreneurial aspirations never like kind of woke up, because I knew that I'm not going to be able to do business there, right? I did not really know, and I took different roles in my software career, and I was like, why am I not enjoying
Hmm.
developer or technical lead or business analyst or project manager? And I always thought maybe that role will excite me more, sort of a thing. As soon as I came back to India, the entrepreneurial aspirations kind of woke up. And around the same time, and I was not intending to, start any music school and all. So I did a little research on the recording studios and all. And I was like, okay, after doing the research, I realized I don't want to get back into the cubicle. Because if I'm starting a recording studio, I'm going to be sitting in the dark room, and
Yeah.
that's not what I want. And then it was very apparent and it was very evident in my journey that if I start a school and if I start teaching with whatever I've learned which was not too long a time, but it was not too short a time either. It had been 6 7 years, like 4 5 years of learning in the US and 2 3 years in India from really really fantastic gurus. So I was equipped, thanks to my gurus, I was equipped to take on this kind of a step, and I started the school, started teaching music primarily in the beginning, and then, like I was saying, in any entrepreneur journey, you have to try different things, right? You want to make things successful. There is all the more pressure from family, extended family, friends and their families, whatever. So you want to be successful. So I started, okay, I was like, okay, music, these many activities we are offering: keyboard, guitar, vocal, and Carnatic vocal and Hindustani vocal and all that, and it's not enough to survive and make money. So I started dance, okay, thinking dance will basically get us more students and will be more profitable. Similarly, we started right after starting the dance category, we started art. So now we've been calling ourselves the Music, Dance, and Art School, and that's going to remain that way. But it was not a great thing to do as an entrepreneur, because you're not supposed to thin down your resources, and any new thing you start, and it takes a lot of resources, and you kind of like, you're supposed to dig a well at one place, right, rather than digging like 10 wells. And you just understand this not by reading the books, you understand this by going through it and
Experience.
doing those things. I mean, it is so clear to me that I need to focus on one thing, because I do so many things, but I have learned to do one thing at a time these days.
Yeah, that is
So
it.
even if I'm a teacher, an entrepreneur, and a musician, and I'm able to, by God's grace, able to take on these roles okay now these days, after having gone through that entrepreneurial journey and understanding that I cannot be doing, or I cannot be thinking of all these things at the same time. I need to think of all these things, but at their own time. So there is a designated time for business, and there is designated time, and there is designated time for the teaching, is how I manage my schedule. The post-pandemic time, we are primarily focusing on music, and we would start other activities and all that, but we want to really grow in one category now. We offer musical instruments classes like keyboard, guitar, piano, and we have vocal,
Mhm.
Hindustani and Carnatic vocal, and we also have art classes currently. These are the activities, these are the services we are providing, and we're looking to stay in these services only for a sizable amount of future. But as the logo of Kaushik Dhwanee suggests, we will never confine ourselves to only these things. We would be impatient to do more things and new things, and anything to do with education we would surely want to undertake.
Sure. So,
Yeah.
what category of students come to you? Are they kids, or any specific age range, or you have varied age range customers?
6 plus we basically start training them, and we have students from all age groups basically. Probably still 60% comprises students between 8 and 15,
Okay.
and remaining 40% is the older students and adults. And there is no really no limit. People ask this question, right? They come with the apprehension, and I cannot tell my story to each one of them, but I'm like, I wish I was able to tell. So which and I have started late. There is no reason for you to not start. I would like to take this opportunity to tell the world, hey, don't be shy. You
Mhm.
are 40, 50, 60. Just enjoy doing it, and do it. This is such a getaway. I find, with all due respects to all other activities like meditation and all that, I tell people, in the meditation you have to focus on something. In music learning you don't have to do it. It just
Yeah.
makes you do
You.
it. Your playing keyboard means you just really have to focus on your keys. You cannot think anything else. There is no liberty of that here. Whereas, like, for example, in meditation, you have to actually tell yourself to not think, or whatever. So these kind of things come effortlessly in the music learning, which provides for a really good getaway for people who have. And so many people's lives are so stressful,
Mhm.
all the more with the whole pandemic. It's like shaken the whole world. This is a really opportune time for people to take these things, be happy, learn these things, and make happiness your way of life, is what I would like to tell them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm one of them. I started learning sitar recently.
No kidding.
So
Wow. So cool. No, so cool. Very cool.
I was named after Pandit Ravi Shankar. So
Acha.
So, but chance kabhi nahi mila, and I thought I should at least fulfill this wish of my dad.
Anyway, that will give you such a blissful moments, such blissful moments, Yeah,
That
it's
20
good.
minutes or half an hour of practice which I do,
Huh.
I'm just glued to that, and that the time slows down, and which I really forgot for 20 years, because everything like ek task ke baad dusra task, and it was life was more transactional, and rushing things, doing things faster and all that. And now that these 20 minutes, it looks like 1 or 2 hours I'm sitting and practicing. So I really enjoy it. So I hope you have a lot of students who are in corporate, joined here just to take the stress out. But yeah, wonderful experience I'm having. So it will take a year or two. There's no rush. I might not get into concerts and all that, but I'm sure I will enjoy this particular journey of learning it slowly and moving forward.
Right, right.
So super. So और क्या है? What are the other hidden talents of Kaushik? I saw your website, pretty cool. I like the fusion, classic, and fusion of Western video that came up. So so what all you keep trying when you're like in your free time?
Well, I mean, see, my artistic goal is to make classical music available, understandable, and enjoyable to the masses.
Right.
Very similar to what Pandit Bhimchand Joshi ji did, and some of the other musicians did. He started singing, and a layman stood and listened, and it didn't matter if what he was singing, it was classical music or not. There is so much intimidation, right? People have, or apprehension about classical music. Anyone you tell, they say, oh, we don't understand. I'm like, you don't need to understand, you just need to listen.
Yeah.
And that led me to think, we need to educate people to listen to classical music and present it in a way in which they like it, in the format in which they like it. So that video of mine was basically an experiment. It's pure classical music. What I've sung is called, in our Hindustani vocal khayal tradition, it's called Bada Khayal.
Mm-hmm.
Literally translating in a way to, I mean, there's some controversy. I'm not going to talk more about the word khayal, but it's a thought, it's a thought which you can expand, musically. So it's a Bada Khayal. I have sung it in 3 minutes. The video is 3 minutes 20 seconds, and I have put some pretty groovy loops and all that. This is just one and the first experiment I have done to see how the classical music sounds, and if it can sound cool and peppy, and in a way that will be liked by the folks in the world, in the country, in the world, but primarily the youth, I would say. If
Yeah.
it kind of connects with the masses. So that was the experiment, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about that,
Huh.
I'm a good fan of this recent artist, and I think whenever I get onto YouTube on my TV screen, I think I at least play that once in a week, or twice or thrice in a week. So this artist also sings classic and a fusion about it. His name
Okay.
is Ritviz. Ritviz is just too good. It starts with classical music, and then it goes on. It's mostly one word or one theme. He's doing really great, and I am like, I've become a fan of him. And one of the reason is not only about the beats or the rhythm, but because it has classic. It starts with classic, and then there is a message around this all his songs. So yeah, pretty. I think I'll become a diehard fan of him. Pretty. So yeah, I'm looking forward, Kaushik, where you create your own album with all these fusions which you create, and which is out there where we can keep listening to it. And yeah, I did have goosebumps as soon as I opened your website. So I'll give you my honest
Well,
feedback.
I appreciate
It was
that.
really good.
Not just me, there is so many youth in the country who are taking classical music seriously, and they are there, they are smart, they are soft, they are peppy, and they are ready to do these things. So we're going to see a lot of these things, in the music scene in the coming years. Very, very good time. Very, very good time.
Yeah. So now you got into the next stage, right? You're like creating artists now.
Well, it's a process. Creating yourself as an artist is a process, and creating artists by teaching them is a process. These are grueling processes, really, but they are so much fun at the same time. It's like no musician is made in a day, including yourself. Right? So it takes years and years of patience and teaching, and as an artist, it takes many hours of practicing and doubting yourself and telling yourself, oh hey, this will be fine, don't worry, it's only 9 months you've been doing this. It's not too long.
Mm.
Yeah, the journey is so much fun. Every time we practice, it's so much fun. And the way the students are responding, the way they are becoming, like learning this art, it's very motivating, as a teacher for me. And in general, when we have people coming in, learning at our institute, the kind of pleasure and happiness they get, the way they become innocent, it is a treat to see. So it's very fulfilling activity, in addition to it being the education. And I have to make one note to all the people listening, and all the people in the world. Art comprises 50% of our brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of brain.
True. Yeah.
50% is conventional and 50% is unconventional. While we are giving so much importance, and rightly so, to all these conventional subjects like math and English and all that, which are so important, how can we not give as much importance to other 50% of the brain? I see that in these 8 9 years, such smart people talented kids have come out by just keeping on learning music. They are doing so well in their chosen fields. They are doing so well academically. So I would like to, and I understand that the country also needs to become prosperous for people to take music more and more, and that will happen over a period of time. But it's the thinking that needs to change, and it is also changing. I see people my age who are the parents of our children. They are very clear that they definitely want to make their kids learn. They do not know why, but they just know intuitively, okay, this is a really good thing for them. So it's a great thing that our parents had the responsibility of making us engineers. Now our generation is thinking, okay, now that we have done that, how do we make them smarter? And people are doing that. But I would like to tell all the people that you have to give importance to the art learning. It does so much well, and we have only 30 minutes and I can talk for 3 hours on that subject itself. So let me not get into that, but let me just tell people to definitely take the art form, make your kids learn, you learn. With all the things that are going on in the world, staying positive is not easy. It's like a big task and activity to do, right? This will really help in many ways.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kaushik, because parents are realizing it. In terms of the kid should not only be smarter, but also should be focused and then smarter.
No,
So
we basically want to create compassionate leaders now. That's the term I would use.
yeah,
They will not be
that's the right
compassionate if
word.
they don't have that angle of music. My students, they are like so smart now after having learned for bunch of years. I see that. And I tell any instruction, I give any instruction. I'll give you an example. If I'm in the when I was in the classroom, I asked some new student to turn the fan on. That kid just kind of got surprise of his life, and he was like, okay, where's the button? What should I do? Should I turn it this way, that way? Someone who's been learning for 3 4 years, you tell him, give the same instruction, that kid gets up coolly from his place or her place and does the right thing. That the kind of composure I'm seeing in the students. So this is one small example of my real life experience, of how we are nurturing the smartness and the intelligence of the students by them going through. They are learning the discipline purely. What is probably needed for success, and I am not the right person probably still to talk about that, because success is everyday thing and I'm achieving that. But how I become an artist and how I make students be the artist, and achieving those goals will probably make me think that I'm successful. But in order to achieve success, the first thing that is needed is discipline.
True. Yeah.
That is for sure. And the students learn this discipline very early on, which is what I'm very happy about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they get discipline in one thing, they're going to be disciplined in all areas of their life. This is what has happened to me. I mean, probably my life was all over the place, and the moment I started learning music, it all came together. Bad habits went away, and all good habits came in, and I had to look at my health, and I cannot practice for hour and a half if I don't have good health. So the first thing was my health. So that was the priority. I was always health conscious and fitness conscious, but it was all the more important to
Yeah.
be in a good, you cannot do music if you're not happy, or if you're not generally composed, or if you're irritated, you cannot practice. I'm sure you also understand that.
Yeah.
So you have to be first sort of calm, right? Not like calm as in Buddha calm, but you have to be generally in a good state of mind to do music. So you have to take an effort to be in a good state of mind first, and then you practice. So these are the things that music does to you. It just you just don't start singing or learning or playing. You first be calm. First be composed. That means you first be disciplined.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a state of you to get into that state of mind.
Right. Right.
Get
Right.
started.
Yeah.
So, Kaushik, we have some rapid fire questions so that we get
Right.
into well. Okay.
Right.
Are you all set?
I guess so.
Yeah. So, being a teacher and especially into music, it needs a lot of patience. And I'm sure now with back classes or online sessions, it also involves a lot of stress. So, how do you get rid of stress? What's Kaushik's mantra to get rid of stress?
Um, I don't have any particular mantra, but I mean, I just try to breathe. I just try to remind myself, in between, whenever I get stressed, I breathe. I practice music. That is a big stress buster for me. I mean, as a student of music and someone who pursues music, I practice every day, regularly, very regularly. That really takes my mind away from, all the other things. So these are the things I do. I work out a lot, and I love that. So that's another big stress buster. I cannot imagine not working out five times out of 7 days in a week or something. Anything less than that is like probably build a lot of stress in my life. I do a lot of things at a time. At the same time, simultaneously, I do a lot of things that does result in building a lot of stress building.
Super. So, who's your favorite entertainer in terms of music or
Of
act?
all time, or of all time, or uh,
Yeah, you can have one person each for music, dance, and art.
okay. Well, for music, I have many of them. I mean,
Mhm.
basically, Pandit Bhimsen Joshi ji, Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, Zakir Bhai, who he likes himself being called Zakir Bhai than Ustad Zakir Hussain, but he's really the big Ustad. I really admire him. I've grown up admiring him, and I've seen him up close. So he is one of the inspirations, someone whose music I really, really like. And in the dance, I guess Kathak, Birju Maharaj is a good dancer, and I'm sure there must be a lot of them. I don't know much about the dancers. Um, in the in the business world, I have a bunch of people I look up to. Bill Gates,
Mhm.
revolutionary, and Steve Jobs, for example, Mr. Tata, and there are really, the list is endless there, so I cannot choose one name there. It will be probably an injustice. So people such as these, are the ones I look up to for motivation. Yeah.
So, singers have poems and you.
I like Virat Kohli for the kind of focus he has.
Okay.
I don't necessarily follow cricket too much, but I just really admire the fact that how can someone be so focused match over match? How does the fame not go to his head? I fail to understand. I wonder what it'll do to me. Really, I'm scared, if I become famous, how much of the damage it's going to do to me.
Yeah,
So
that's a
that
good point.
part, that aspect of Virat Kohli, I really, really admire. He's so focused. Yeah.
So what's your favorite season?
Favorite season will be all seasons are my favorite seasons. Really, I really enjoy the changes and the seasons. I wouldn't want to call in India. Obviously, winter is nice, right? But that's not the case in other part of the world.
Mhm.
Winter is very pleasant here, so generally I like that a lot. But I really, really enjoy the seasons, all seasons. I love summer of India. It really makes you want to go out of the country. But the pleasure that you get in drinking a cooler glass of water from the matka, you just don't get anywhere else, and you don't want to escape the heat from here for that reason.
True.
So all seasons have all these different things to offer.
Most amazing outdoor location where you could just sit and sing for yourself without even thinking kaun sunega and all that. What was the last time you experienced this, and where was it?
Well, by the lake, wherever there is a water body, I would feel much more calm and pleasant, and I would want to do that in such a place where there is like a lot of green, and I'm able to overlook a water body. That will be my place for doing music for myself. Yeah.
So what is the guilty pleasure of Kaushik, which your students or your friends or we are not aware of?
What would that mean? If you can
Guilty
tell me
pleasure,
more.
some guilty pleasure which you generally you hide it from the outside world.
uh, I don't. My life is generally public life these days. All the videos are available on YouTube, and you search my name, and even if I'm not very famous and all that, still a lot of information is there. About me on the internet. Not much of anything to hide, really. I guess I do bad things. Once in a while. I'm a bad boy. Let me not get into what I do, but I'm a bad boy too. There is that element of badness, and everyone should have that, particularly the entrepreneurs, or the artists. I'm the combination.
Okay, so if you're stuck in a tunnel where there is absolute darkness, there's not even a single sign of light. So what would you do? And you're stuck there for like say 24 hours. How would how would you pass time?
But I pass time. I mean, I guess there is not much to do. I would try to figure out how to get out of the place. That's how I'll pass my time. 24 hours. All 24 hours I'll not be sleeping, and all 24 hours I'll be trying to get out of there any minute.
Okay. But for what reason your friends connect to you? If they need help, what sort of help they connect you for? Kaushik, bhai,
They
ye help
find me
chahiye.
dependable. They find me dependable and loyal.
Mm-hmm.
They find me honest, but they, of all things, they find me dependable and loyal to them. That's the trait they admire in me, and they come to me for that. They know that if I go to him for help, he'll be there. So that my good friends, good buddies have that assurance in their head, I think.
Okay. What is the weirdest birthday gift that you have received or gifted somebody?
No, not nothing too weird that comes to my head. Really, I got the usual gifts. The card, and I guess I gifted plants to people. Like a big plant. One time I gifted a friend of mine.
Okay. Which
Uh,
which plant is it?
so
Bill
the
plant.
the वो कौन सा jasmine plant with a
Okay.
big, it's like something cute you want to give, but I gave this big thing.
Okay.
Thinking of the future always. It'll grow.
King size.
Not like a shrub, which is probably a smarter thing to do, if you're looking to impress someone,
Yeah.
for example. But I came up with a big thing. That is probably weird.
When was the last time you went to a music concert and where was it?
I keep going all the time until pre-pandemic times. I have been going all the time, and these days, though, I'm attending a lot of music concerts online. One of the online concerts I remember is the concert of my teacher, which I attended pretty fondly, who I have started learning very recently from the new vocal art form, sort of a thing. So his concert I attended, I really enjoyed it.
Super. You're one of those lucky people who have seen a lot of journey between how music was recorded for the last couple of generations, couple of decades, right? So from tape recorders till date. So do you remember the memories from your childhood till date? What all you had? What all devices from which you have listened to music in the sequence? Do you remember them?
I do. I mean, yeah. I mean, I my childhood started with those cassettes, right, that we had, and with the whole film and all that. So that was the beginning, and then it turned into CDs. Before
In
that,
between?
for a short period of time, it turned into those small floppy disks, right, and then into CDs, and now it is all digital. So
Yeah.
that's
So
yeah, yeah.
super. Did you try repairing any of those cassettes in
Oh
your
yeah,
childhood?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So that's where that memory goes, right? using the pen and all that we did, right?
Yeah.
We first removed the whole thing, and then again we tried to put it back and all. Yeah, I used to have a lot of cassettes. I was a pretty avid music listener from my younger days.
Yeah. And apparently Renault's pen was the best fit for.
That's right. That's right. I do remember that, white and blue with the
Yeah.
blue cap. Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite movie soundtrack? Original movie soundtrack that you play often, or you remember?
Movie soundtrack. I'll really have to think again. There is a bunch of favorites.
Mhm.
I like, see, more than the movie soundtracks, I would say I like Coke Studio a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah.
So, Abida Parveen's, I'm a big fan of. She has sung there are some tracks of her in the Coke Studio which are so fantastic.
What's her name? Abita.
Abida Parveen.
Abita
Abida
Parveen.
Parveen, yeah. Yeah, you check it out.
I'll check
So
that.
there is this song called Balagal Ulabe. This is a Farsi word.
Mm-hmm.
Balagal Ulabe Kamalehi. This is the name of the track. It is pretty amazing. She's so amazing, and it's right now currently going in the loop. In my listening.
So,
But even the Bollywood does tremendous job. Has done tremendous job of coming up with really really nice music, right? Which really kind of floats our boat, right? Everyday life. So there is many of them from Bollywood as well, from the movies.
super. Now the last question, Kaushik. With all this experience, you had corporate experience. You were into IT. You traveled to a different country, lived there for a while, came
Hmm.
back. You know the importance of India. You know the importance of Indian art and culture. If you become the chief minister, what are the positive reforms you would focus on? You will bring in as a chief minister.
Okay, so since I was already told about this question that it's going to come, but before we started this interview, at the beginning, I was under the impression that if I was to be the chief minister for a minute,
Only a
what I would
minute.
do, and I was like, I was not sure what I'm going to do, but I did have the answer for that ready as well. But if this is the case that I'm going to be the chief minister for the tenure, I find there are many issues we are facing in the world,
Mhm.
and all of them can be tied to the lack of education. So education is the one area I would really intensely focus on, educating the entire world. Now, let me, come out of the only chief ministership question. Whatever I'm going to do for the state, I would really want to apply to the world level. So that's why I'm saying, eradicating illiteracy from the world will be really, really nice to see. That will lead to all the people getting smarter, and I think the issues which are plaguing the world are two:
Mhm.
lack of clean water availability and lack of food. And it really breaks my heart to see that I'm able to use the water, and I'm like so fortunate to to use it in my everyday life, and there are people who don't have access to this, and I'm like, it really like makes me wonder, how is that possible? Hey, we have so much plenty, there is so much rain and all that, so we got to do things. Connecting the rivers is like one good initiative, and that must be implemented. And the water problem should go away from the world. Everyone should have the right to have the water, and on the in the similar way, they should be able to have food. You cannot just imagine, we don't eat for a couple of hours, our lunch late, we start to get restless. I cannot imagine. I'm not really good at fasting, and that makes me feel so sad that there are some people who don't eat every day. So this is the other thing I would want to really eradicate from the state as a chief minister, and from the world as the world leader. If I get a chance to be one, the other thing I would do is, again, I'm the kind of person who would kind of try to go to the root cause of the problem, right? To establish a solution. Women empowerment will be one good thing to do. I think half of the world is women. Half of the world will get better if we empower women, and they will empower their families, and the whole world will get better. So I would do these things. These are the initiatives I will kind of focus on if I get the opportunity.
Good one. Good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Thanks, Kaushik. I mean, really nice thought process. I thought you will only stick on to art and culture, but you got into the root cause, which is education. Then obviously, poverty, where they're not having enough water and food, and then women empowerment, which is like good, given good analysis that 50% of them are women. So working on them would take care of the world. So thanks a lot for joining in this particular show, Kaushik. Nice to know about you. Nice to know about your initiative and your institution, Dhwani. So with your name, so I'm sure this Dhwani will make a lot of Dhwani around the city, around the country, and around the world, because now I think it's all about global platform. Every institution, every brand is global now, with everything being online. So I'm sure you'll have a lot of students who will learn from you, from the way you believe in music and the culture. So thanks for doing this. It's like very few people who are doing it, so thanks for being one of them.
No, no, we don't. We do. We have plenty of smart people in our country, and a lot of people are doing a lot of good work. And in the education space, because of this whole pandemic, there are people who are coming up, which is so heartwarming to see. I would like to tell the youth of the country to work hard and prosper. And this is a great place and time, for us to do that. A lot of people in the country are smart and they're doing it, which is very nice to see, really. So I know I'm just one of them, I'm not like one of the very few, not like that. I will never think that way because it's not true only. If it was true, I would think that way, but it's not true. So a lot of people like
Very, very,
yourself, hey, very,
very
very fast
positive,
breaking
Kaushik.
initiative you have come up with, So we do have, company.
Good one. So thanks, friends, for watching this. So we'll share, Kaushik's website, the institution website, and his social media handle, so that you can follow him. Watch out his YouTube also. I've got a glimpse of his activities, some of the sessions which he had with his students, and when he goes and creates this fusion of his music. So watch out whenever you're free. If you love music, I think it is time for you to take time out for some classical music too. So thanks a lot for watching this particular episode, and thanks a lot, Kaushik, for taking time out for this particular show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thanks to all the viewers for taking time to listen in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kaushik. Bye.
Bye.